3D anime models are really complex, but don't worry, we found the secret sauce. Picking up from last time where we reverse engineered a Wuthering Wave style face, let's create some beautiful eyes that go with it. This is a method that combines secrets and techniques that I've picked up from multiple games' 3D models. First, a quick overview of the lashes, brows, and eyelids. The areas that I've marked green with freestyle edge can be used as approximate guidelines for these areas. You can choose whether to mark them or not. They don't really do anything on their own, it's just for you to see. As you can see, the elements are very close to those edges. They don't necessarily have to overlap one for one, but it's good to use as a starting point. We'll extrude the eyelash base out of these faces, and we'll extrude pointed ends out of all of the corners. The one in the middle will serve as our eyelid crease, and optionally you can indent it for that crease look. Next, we'll just duplicate this edge to create the base for the eyelid crease line. And this line on top is the brow ridge, which of course will house the eyebrow, so it can also be duplicated to create the base for the eyebrow. The eyebrows will be duplicated and separated from the mesh, while the eyelash base is extruded, and this is why. Duplicated parts are purposely kept separate, for example the eyebrows, so that they don't have to be tied down with the verts of the forehead, and we can manipulate them more when we make the shape keys. They also often keep single lashes separate to make it super easy to just move them down and rotate them when blinking. As for the eyelash base, one advantage of it being extruded and remaining connected to the face mesh is that when we make the blinking shape keys, we don't have to close both the eye socket and the eyelash, since they are connected. After that, I'll show you my iris texturing workflow that includes a very underrated technique and the visual tweaks I made after finishing the eyes. And yes, today's files will be available on Patreon. Okay, now I'll show you step by step how I'll do it for this face. First, I'll start with the eyebrows by selecting all across this eyebrow ridge, duplicating that area, and subdividing it, then extruding that subdivision down. Then I'm going to select the top half of this by doing Alt left click, and then I'll use Loop Tools Relax, and do the same for the bottom half. This gives it a nice smooth curve, and I give it a placeholder material so I can clearly see it. This is important so that we can get a preview of the final look and make tweaks before we make the actual texture. So for example, for the skin, select all the parts of the skin, click plus, and then add a new material. You can just do an emission, hit assign, and then select the color that you want for the skin. And we've added another one for the eyebrow and made it black for now. Placeholder colors are very important to get a preview of the final look. It's difficult when everything is one color and you're just assuming that it looks right. With placeholders, you not only get a visual, you can also test many different colors and color combinations. Now that we can see it better, we can tweak the shape by using proportional editing. Some games do this, some don't. I cut into the middle of the eyebrow to separate the eyebrow outline and the eyebrow color. The initial cuts don't have to be perfect because you can always go back in and slide them. And don't forget to make the cuts at the end to avoid endgons. One on each side. And now with face select mode, I'll select the middle area and assign a new material to that. And something possessed me here to choose the ugliest green imaginable. But again, the beauty of placeholder colors, you can always adjust them at will. Now moving on, let's do a similar process for the eyelid crease where we duplicate it to separate it and then subdivide it and relax it. Then extrude it downwards and give it the same placeholder color as your eyebrow black. On the inside corner of it, I extrude this section, and let's give that a placeholder color slightly darker than the base skin. This is the inner eyelid shadow that's commonly seen in stylized anime. Now let's also take care of the eye socket by extruding the eye socket loop inwards and giving it a very light gray placeholder color. Not pure white, but a very light gray. Scale this inner loop slightly, especially vertically, to prevent iris clipping. Then extrude it again and merge that extrusion with MA, merge at center. Moving on to the base of the eyelashes. With face select mode on, select these areas, assign a color to them, and then extrude them along the y-axis. Let's set those areas to the same dark color as well. Now we'll make sharp ends at 3 locations. First, the bottom of the eyelash base. So extrude that area, scale it down, and then adjust the area around it. Next, do the outer corner point and extrude out of it, scale it down to 0 so that we can still loop cut it, place the corner exactly where you want it. Here I create 3 loop cuts and move them into a curve. And lastly, let's do the inner corner. So once again, extrude that, scale it to 0, move the point where you want it to be, do a couple of loop cuts if you want, move those into place to create a curve, And often what you'll see optionally is that the inner corner is stylized into two separate points like this. Here I'm just tweaking the shape of it. So I made that part a little thicker, adjusted the shape of the outer corner, and here what I'm doing is loop cutting them across the middle. You can do one or two to create a more 3D shape by moving them forward slightly on the y-axis. I'll do this for the bottom area as well by using knife tool, and I'll end it there. And we'll knife the outer corner as well by going from here to the end. And now for individual lashes. So usually I go to face select, duplicate a face, and like the other endpoints, we scale the end to 0, move the endpoint into place, and then loop cut it and curve the loop cuts. Duplicate this lash into another lash. Doesn't have to be too many, 2 to 4 lashes will do. Let's move on to the bottom eyelash by extruding a portion of it and adjusting like so, and of course giving it the same placeholder material. We can also create individual bottom lashes, and these are usually much smaller than the top ones. Thus you can make them flat planes instead of full-on prisms. So duplicate those a few times. And then I also like to put a placeholder for the nose line. That will usually get textured in later, but I like to see where it is. So I cut that small strip and make it black as well. Sorry for the slight visual jump you'll see in the face now. I actually did this twice because the first time I did it, I didn't record half of it, but this is the same point in the process. And what I'll do now is create the eye socket shadow by selecting this top inner edge, duplicating it and extruding it downwards. Then taking the bottom half of it and moving it inwards, and taking the corners and moving it inwards into the socket until all of that white area at the top is covered. Then we can give them a transparent placeholder material. So let's click plus and add a new material. Make sure they're assigned to it. And here in the shading tab, we can simply mix a transparent BSDF with the usual emission. Factor is fine at 0.5, but you can tweak it if you want, and I'll set the method to blended. One thing to do as well is to select all the faces of the bottom half of the eyelash base, as well as all these bottom parts of the individual lashes, and assign a darker material to them. And also, even though they're not technically connected, have the bottom side of the individual lashes line up with that bottom half of the eyelash base. That way it still looks unified even though they're separate. Don't forget to do it for the mouth as well. You're going for the common lip line surrounded by its edges. Up next, we're going to create some irises, texture them, and we'll do some even more aesthetic tweaks to the face mesh. In object mode, add a circle to the scene, verts 24, X rotation 90, then simply extrude it, scale that extrusion down, extrude it again, then merge that extrusion at the center. It really is that simple, and if you want a small concave shape, just move this loop outwards and move the center one inwards. Some games do concave, some do convex. Depends on the game and also the character type. Let's UV unwrap this now in the UV editing tab, while it's still a perfect circle. And it's up to you whether you want the UV to be a portion or the full image. I'll scale this about the size that I want it to be, then actually move it out. Then I'm gonna make sure that it is in its own collection, because we're now about to use collection instances. If you don't know what that is, you're about to find out. So the iris is in that collection, and in object mode, we're gonna Shift A and add a collection instance of it. Then we're gonna move that collection instance to where we want the eye to be. We'll right click it and set its origin point to the center. That should put that axis display to the center, and then we'll rotate it slightly outwards and slightly downwards, which is the natural standard placement of the eye. This keeps our original iris straight and aligned to the axis, while the collection instance is where the actual placement of the eye is. Meaning you're texturing on a straight perspective while being able to see it in its final angle at the same time. Now technically you can do that without collection instances, but the instance also allows us to scale the original into the shape that we want and see how it looks angled and in socket. I made it slightly longer vertically and lightly occluded by the top and bottom lids. Now right click the top right of your frame around here and split your layout like so. And let's do one more split horizontally. Here we've set up a texturing workflow. In this window, we'll have our iris straight on. And in the bottom window, we can see the iris in rotation and in socket. And you could put your texture window on the left if you want. For this next part, you'll need UQ Paint, which if you don't have it already, just get it from Get Extensions. Then you should see this UQ Paint tab on your right hand side. Press Quick UQ Paint Node Setup, select Emission, and press OK to turn your placeholder eye material into a UQ Paint material. In the Layers tab, press plus and add a solid color. Select whatever base color you want for your eye. And for each part of the eye, we'll do a new layer. So click the plus again and do New Image. Usually I'll just pick 2048 and hit OK. And let's make this the iris outline. So earlier we created a loop cut for this. So in edit mode, we can go face select mode and select that loop, Shift H to isolate it, and then switch back to texturing mode and use the fill tool to fill that area with a darker color for the outline. Then you can go back in edit mode and unhide it with Alt H. Let's create a new layer for the dark top half of the iris. After filling it in, we saw that our UV is not rotated properly, so quickly fix that. Alright, so you got your outline, your dark upper half, and honestly some people just do this. Dark pupil in the center, bright bottom highlight, and then a couple more highlights, usually a white one and a colored one. But let me show you something a little more sophisticated. Let's extend the dark area like so. Then erase some of the dark parts to extend the light part with these jelly bean-like shapes that get smaller towards the end. Let's add a new layer for the pupil, and using a dark color, let's create an oval outline in the center. For the bottom highlight, create a new layer, select a bright color of a different hue, and here I'll do the top half of a heart. And similar jelly bean shape, but I'll just do 2. For the middle pupil color, I'll select a yellow and do a diamond shape. It's under the pupil outline layer, and I erase the edges, and the contrasting shape and color make that center pop. On the top half, make a new layer for a half highlight. Use a bigger radius to get those soft edges, and drag the opacity value to the left, and erase a diagonal line across of it. Then create new layers for additional highlights and use different hues. So I'll create a pink highlight and a white highlight. I also created a mini highlight for the iris on the bottom half like this. And I'll add some bright soft hues to the bottom, turn the opacity down, and change the blend mode to add. Once you're satisfied with your texture, there's a couple things you have to do. First, use the function make instances real. Now you no longer need this empty, and the collection instance has been applied in the angle and location that you've placed it into the socket. Then of course, just mirror it. Setting the mirror target to your face mesh. Then apply the mirror and flip the UV on one of the eyes. And adjust it if it's not straight. Oh, and hold up, there's one more optional thing, which is you can separate the highlights layer onto a duplicated mesh. So you just duplicate this mesh and then remove the highlight layer from it. In this case, it's HLHL, just press minus. And then here is the shader setup on the duplicated one. As for the image texture input, just remember the layer name. That's gonna be what the image is named. And then you just plug it in like so, and only the painted parts of it will be visible. And I know there's more efficient ways to do this, but this is just one way that you can do it. Oh, one more thing actually. Press A, M, B. So select everything and do merge by distance, and that will take our lash ends that we scaled to 0 and turn them into a single vert. Now that most of the main features are here and the iris is fully textured, this is when I like to do another pass of the face proportions and aesthetics. So let me go over all the tweaks and the mindset behind them. I sectioned off the bottom half of the eyelids and gave them a much darker color to contrast with the top half. Same with the individual eyelashes. This improves their silhouette and also the 3D look of it. Here I tweak the eyelid crease shape while I have topology auto masking on to isolate the crease. I use both sculpt mode and edit mode when making tweaks, depending on the situation. Here I'll select the tip of this corner lash and do Ctrl numpad plus to expand the selection, then make a rotation adjustment while proportional editing is on. By the way, one of my main goals was to make her look less angry because for some reason she looked really mad. Down here I'm just gonna bring up the lower lid up slightly. The lips are a little wide, so I move them in. And here I wanted to move the eyeballs slightly closer together for a cuter look. Mirror is already applied, so I'm just gonna make sure I move them the same amount of distance. Then I just chose a slightly lighter skin tone. Then I manifest my selection expansion once more, and with proportional editing, I make the eyebrow less angled, thus less angry looking. Now obviously everyone's tweaks will be different depending on your target and your art style, but that's just the process of what I did for mine's. Oh, and another way to tweak is by turning your layers into masks so that you can swap out your texture colors just like you do with the placeholder material. I'll do it for this layer that I drew yellow on. Click plus in the layers tab and add a solid color. You can start with any color, then press OK, then click the plus down here where it says masks and open available image as layer mask. Select the layer it's drawn on and ensure image channel is set to alpha. Then hit OK, and now you can change the color at any time by clicking the color tab of the solid color layer. This can also be done for multiple layers and non-basic shapes if you put the solid color layer over everything that you want it to affect and changing the blend mode to, for example, hue. By the way, the base method I showed you can be used to make male faces as well, and female faces can even be tweaked into male ones if you already have a female one. I'll show you that next time, along with how to close the head if you've not done so already, along with a backlog of a bunch of videos that I've promised you guys. But it should take less time in between videos now, since I am full-time now, so if it's not your request next, don't worry, it'll probably be sometime soon. And once again, thank you guys so much for all the love and support you've shown this channel, and even to my upcoming Colosso course. I'm very fortunate to have this community, and I will always share what I see and learn with you all. Take care, my goats, and have yourselves a good night.